once in a while you come across a post that just seems so outrageously shocking. It just does not seem real. But I came across this post today on X, and I have to share this. This is absolutely terrifying. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Tweets this out. Our findings show. Now remember, this is the Secretary of Health and Human Services, okay? This is a government official at this point saying this. Our findings show that hospitals allowed the organ procurement process to begin when patients showed signs of life. And this is horrifying. The organ procurement organizations that coordinate access to transplants will be held accountable. The entire system must be fixed to ensure that every potential donor's life is treated with the sanctity it deserves. What? I saw this post and what? What? So you're telling me that here in the United States, remember, we've been accusing China of this for a long time. Here in the United States, we are taking organs we're harvesting organs out of living people, out of people who are still alive, who would still be alive. They're not declared dead. Everything's dead except for we have to kind of keep the body warm in order to get these organs out. No. We're talking organs are being taken out of living people who are alive, people who maybe would still be alive. This is what he is saying by this post. So, of course, had to look into this a little bit more. This is now, HHS then puts out a big press release, and part of it says HRSA examined 351 cases where organ donation was authorized but ultimately not completed because it found 103 cases, which is about 30%, showed concerning features, including 73 patients with neurological signs incompatible with organ donation, meaning they were not brain dead. Because they say, oh, well, if you're brain dead, we could keep your body alive so we could get the organs out. But you're brain dead, you're dead, you're not coming back. And they found 30% of the time that wasn't the case. At least 28 patients may not have been deceased at the time organ procurement was initiated, raising serious ethical and legal questions. Evidence pointed to poor neurologic assessments, lack of coordination with medical teams, questionable consent practices, and misclassification of causes of death, particularly in overdose cases. So they're doing this a lot with drug overdose cases. Said vulnerabilities were highest in smaller and rural hospitals, indicating systemic gaps in oversight and accountability. Yeah, so turns out, of course, like I said, did a little bit of research on this. This was written in October. This was put out by NPR. Horrifying mistake to take organs from a living person was averted, witnesses say. Yeah, that person's still alive. In that photo, you see that guy there in the glasses to the left. Yeah, that guy was the guy that they tried to take organs out of, saying he was dead. He's very much alive in that photograph. In fact, here he is dancing at his sister's wedding a year after they said he was dead, and they literally rolled him into the surgery to take his organs out until he woke up and was crying and thrashing around. And the doctor says, I don't think we should do this. And others were saying that, well, no, this is just a natural, this is just, he's dead, even though he's crying and he's thrashing on the table. And they're like, no, he's dead. This is just, the body's reaction after death. That's what they actually tried to claim. Let me just read you this story. Natasha Miller says she was getting ready to do her job preserving donated organs for transplantation when the nurses wheeled the donor into the operating room. She quickly realized something wasn't right. Though the donor had been declared dead, he seemed to her very much alive. He was moving around, she says, quote, kind of thrashing around on the bed, Miller told NPR in an interview. And then when we went over there, you could see he had tears coming down. He was visibly crying. The donor's condition alarmed everyone in the operating room at Baptist Health Hospital in Richmond, Kentucky, including the two doctors who refused to participate in the organ retrieval. Thank God. The procuring surgeon, he was like, I'm out of it. I don't want to have anything to do with it. It was very chaotic. Everyone was just very upset. Miller says she overheard the case coordinator at the hospital for her employer, Kentucky Organ Donor Affiliations, call her supervisor for advice. She says, quote, so the coordinator calls the supervisor at the time, and she was saying that he was telling her that she needed to find another doctor to do it, that we were going to do this case. She needs to find somebody else, Miller says. And she was like, there is no one else. She's crying, the coordinator, because she's getting yelled at. So she's getting yelled at that she won't take organs from a guy that's still alive, thrashing around and crying on the table. And the coordinator's like, get the organs, get the organs. I mean, this just sounds like the nightmares they tell us coming out of China, right? I mean, and then here we are. We've got this happening in our own country. The organ retrieval was canceled, but some workers say they later quit over the October 2021 incident, including another organ preservationist, Nicoletta Martin. Quote, I've dedicated my entire life to organ donation and transplant. It's very scary to me now that these things are allowed to happen and there's not more in place to protect donors. So this wasn't a one-off. Clearly not, because suddenly, as I'm just scrolling through X, I see the Secretary of Health and Human Services put out a post that says, by the way, the country is no longer going to be taking organs from living people. Excuse me? What? Say that again? Yeah, it turns out this happens more often than you would like to think. Says Martin was not assigned to operate the operating room that day, but she says she thought she might get drafted. So she started to review the case notes from earlier in that day. She became alarmed when she read that the donor showed signs of life when doctors tried to examine his heart. Quote, the donor had woken up during his procedure that morning for cardiac catheterization, and he was thrashing around on the table. So cardiac catheterization is performed on potential organ donors to evaluate whether the heart is healthy enough to donate. Martin says doctors sedated the patient when he woke up and plans to recover his organs proceeded. So they'll just knock you out. You wake up, they're sitting there talking, well, like, you got a pretty healthy heart. Let's go ahead and take it. You wake up and you're like, excuse me, I'm right here. And they're like, you know what? Just knock them right back out. Just knock them out. You won't know a thing. It'll be just fine. That's everybody's worst nightmare. Being alive during surgery and knowing that someone's going to cut you open and take your body parts out. That's horrifying. Donna Rohrer of Richmond, Kentucky, told NPR that her 36-year-old brother, Anthony Thomas T.J. Hoover, was the patient involved in the case. He was rushed to the hospital because of a drug overdose. Rohrer was at the hospital that day. She says she became concerned something wasn't right when T.J. appeared to open his eyes and look around as he's being wheeled from intensive care to the operating room. It was like his way of letting us know, hey, I'm still here, she told NPR. But Rohrer says she and other family members were told what they saw was just a common reflex. Yeah, T.J. Hoover now lives with Rohrer, and she serves as his legal guardian, and there he is dancing with her a year later at her wedding. Dancing with her. Does he look dead to you? He's not even in a vegetative state. I mean, this is absolutely horrifying that this is happening. And I think this is going to make a lot of people say, I am not going to become an organ donor, especially not at a young, how do you know for sure that we're dead? If this is happening more often than not to where the Secretary of Health and Human Services has to actually put a post out on X, basically warning all of us that if we agree to donating our organs, they might just take them from us when we're still alive. They might just be like, yeah, you might as well be dead. And you'll certainly be dead when we're done with you. This is horrifying. This is really, truly a nightmare. I'm stunned and shocked and had to share it with you. This is insane. This is happening. And I think it does raise the question of, how does the medical community decide whether or not you're dead? How do they know you're dead? This is like those stories of when they'd bury people alive. They would think they were dead, but they were just nearly dead because the illness had, they basically had gone into a comatose state because of the illness. And then they would isn't that why they would put bells in certain graveyards, right? So that you could ring, if you woke up and you found yourself in a box, you could ring a bell. That can't really happen when you're on the surgery table and they put you under and they start cutting your heart out. Absolutely terrifying, horrifying. Wow is all I can say. And I don't know, now that this news is out, I don't know if this is going to change your mind on being an organ donor. It certainly has given me second thoughts. I'm not going to lie. Mainstream media often promotes certain narratives while suppressing opposing views. That's what motivated me to launch this show, to get past the noise and engage in honest discussions. That's also why I teamed up with Ground News, a platform committed to transparency and helping you see the complete picture. For every news story, they collect coverage from across the political spectrum. I simply swipe through with clear labels indicating each outlet's bias, reliability, and ownership, making it easy to identify what's missing and understand the reasons behind it. With Ground News, I could take any story, like the recent story about the House passing Trump's big, beautiful bill, and instantly see how it's being spun across the political spectrum. Left-leaning outlets highlight the bill's harm to vulnerable groups, framing Medicaid cuts as cruel and expanding ICE's power, while right-leaning sources frame it as patriotic, a generational win for the America First agenda, promoting fiscal discipline and growth using triumphant rhetoric. Now, with Ground News, I could quickly tell that this story has very contrasting agendas that are being pushed by both sides of the political spectrum, and depending on the news outlets that you follow, you may be only seeing one side of the argument. Ground News is a powerful tool for bringing back transparency and real debate to a media world that badly needs both. Ground News is completely independent, backed by subscribers, and trusted by over 2 million people. And right now, my viewers can get 40% off the Vantage plan I personally use, just $5 a month. This special offer is only available through my link, ground.news/Kim, or by scanning the QR code on the screen. Head to ground.news/Kim to claim your 40% discount. If you're done with media bias and want the full story, don't wait. Click the link in the description and see for yourself. I've been using Ground News for many, many months before they ever became a sponsor of the show. Really, really, really great, incredible tool, especially for those friends and family of yours that are like, where can I get my news? And I just don't want to see bias and I don't want to be in a bubble. Ground News is where to go. Hey guys, thank you for watching this clip from the full Kim Iverson Show, which you could check out Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern at KimIversonShow.com. See you there.